Guys, what's going on? Welcome to Cereal at Midnight. My name is Heath, and in this episode, we've got the biggest fresh flavors, new release spotlights in the history of Cereal at Midnight. No joking, there are almost 4 dozen releases next to me. In fact, if we count the individual titles from like the Eurocrypt of Christopher Lee, if we count those titles individually, the stuff in the box sets, well over 4 dozen. So I've got my work cut out for me for this video because we've got to cover a lot of ground here as quickly as possible, but there's so much goodness to talk about here, so let's just kick it right off. Actually, let me reference my Baywatch t-shirt because I know this question is going to pop up in the comments. No, I have not purchased the Blu-rays for Baywatch from VEI. The cuts for those episodes really kept me away. They've all been modified from their original aspect ratio, and there have been more than 350 music replacements. I have the German DVDs, which are completely uncut for all of Baywatch Hawaii. They're region free, and they are as they aired. Now, they're DVDs. They have not been remastered, but they are uncompromised. And for now, I'm sticking with those. So just wanted to reference that because I know what's going to come up. But guys, let's talk about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, one of my all-time favorite movies. I was talking to Bree about this as I was before we watched it. And I was like, I think that this is one of those movies that I seem to love more as I get older because it's got so many layers, right? You've got the Gene Wilder layer, which is an amazing performance. He plays the character basically mad, but there's a real sweetness to the character as well. There's a cynicism, but there's also this kindness. It's a really wonderful performance. And of course, there's the songs and there's the majesty of the Chocolate Factory. Now we have a 4K Ultra HD version. Yes, this does include HDR. And I gotta say, it looks amazing. It looks so good. Watching this with my family, the entire family watched this because we all love this movie. This is a timeless film, and maybe the fashions are rooted in a certain era of time, but it is so magical. They shot the movie, I believe they shot it in Germany. It's supposed to be like the UK, I guess, but it's shot in Germany. There's this fairy tale type quality to the movie that I think really is hard to pin down. And for me, it just gets better as I get older and older. And I just love it. There are so many lines in this movie. We are the music makers. We are the dreamers of dreams. It's beautiful. So we now have a beautiful transfer and a beautiful 4K to complement the beauty of this movie. It's coming up. This is going to be released, I think, one day. It's June 29th, 2021. That's one day prior to the 50th anniversary of this film. So excellent timing by Warner Brothers Home Entertainment. It's a gorgeous 4K transfer, lots of grain. It's got good grain management. For those that want to get to, I can do the technical reviews if you guys want that. I can say, well, it's got great grain management. It's got good color reproduction. The HDR really adds the punch to the Chocolate Factory, to the reds and the very psychedelic Technicolor kaleidoscope that they use. It's got a great soundtrack. The songs sound so good, and they're great songs. And that 35mm film source gives us so much information, but I don't want to get too bogged down in the technical aspects of it. It looks great. The movie has never looked so good on home media. We have the 4K, we have the Blu-ray. 4K carries over the commentary with the Wonka kids, all the kids. Quick note about the movie again is like it's almost 50 years old, but it's super relevant still, and like nothing has changed. It's been 50 years. We all know an Augustus Gloop or a Veruca Salt or a Violet Beauregard or a Mike TV, a Charlie Bucket. Who in our modern society would make it to the end of the Chocolate Factory? We have a digital copy here. Hopefully I did that fast enough nobody saw the code. And the Blu-ray that's included does carry over the previous special features. There's some sing-along stuff. There's a making of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. There's that commentary that I was referencing. A lot of good stuff. This is the one you want. So I've bought this movie in multiple formats over the years. DVD, Blu-ray, this is the best 4K, and it has the Blu-ray special features on the Blu-ray. So this now becomes the de facto presentation of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. God bless you, Willy Wonka. I love... You can tell, right? Like, I just adore this movie. Where do we go? Let's talk about some Severin. You guys want to dig into some Severin? I feel like we have to start with the Eurocrypt of Christopher Lee. Quick note about Severin is that they have been... How do I want to approach this? In the past, there have been like side issues with Severin. There's been like delays in shipping. And a lot of you guys, I mean like a lot of you guys have reached out to me in the past to express your feelings about dealing with Severin. They have partnered with MVD Entertainment to distribute. Now, in case you're not familiar, MVD in the United States distributes Arrow. They distribute VCI, put out all those cool serials, right? There's a lot of great work that's being done by MVD, and partnering with Severin to, blow the doors off, blow the bloody doors off of the distribution of these titles is a great, it's a great development. I think it's a best case scenario for those of us that love these movies, because it means that there's more distribution avenues. Amazon, big box retailers, places like that, you'll be able to find these in more places. So I wanted to say that right up front, because I've heard, right? I've heard this is a great development. So let's talk about the Eurocrypt of Christopher Lee. And some of you guys have had this for a while because you ordered it directly from Severin. This is an 8 Blu-ray set and a CD. It has a soundtrack. The films included are Sherlock Holmes and the Deadly Necklace, which is directed by Terence Fisher, the guy from all those wonderful Hammer films. Challenge the Devil, Crypt of the Vampire, Castle of the Living Dead, The Torture Chamber of Dr. Sadism, and all of the surviving episodes of Theater Macabre of Theater Gandalf, you will not take the Palantir. You will join me in the Theater Macabre. It's worth a shot. I should have just showed them to you. So here, I want to show them to you, and I'll slip them back in the box as I do that. So here's the Sherlock Holmes. It has a commentary with Kim Newman and Barry Forshaw. They do great. Those guys give great talking head features and great commentaries. Challenge the Devil. This is the one that has Dance with the Devil, interview with Robert Curdy. We got so much ground to cover. I'm just going to hold up the back of the box. This also has the bonus disc with, so here's the film, and then these are the special features on the, what are we calling this? The Relics from the Crypt. It's going to be a bunch of interviews. The premise of this box set is Christopher Lee in the 60s goes to Europe and makes movies, makes a lot of, not a lot, but makes some movies in partnership with, German filmmakers and European filmmakers, and that really opened up, a whole nother avenue. Crypt of the Vampire, Castle of the Living Dead. By the way, for some of you guys who have had this for a few weeks, what movies? What are your thoughts on the films themselves? I'd like to know. This just came for me, so I haven't really started on it yet, but I'd like to know where you think I should start, what some of your favorites are. We got this soundtrack for Castle of the Living Dead, I'm sorry. Some of these movies are being presented uncut for the first time ever, which is wonderful. Torture Chamber of Dr. Sadism. There's the special features for that as well. And here's our Theater Macabre. I think there are 24 episodes on 2 Blu-rays. Yes, the 24 surviving episodes. It was an anthology series. It was introduced by Christopher Lee, and it's great to have those. And this, I don't want to I love a booklet. This is not a booklet. This is just like a whole book and glossy pages. I really want to commend Severin for the quality of this presentation and the preservation that they're doing, not just for these movies, but for this aspect of Christopher Lee's career. This is outstanding stuff. So it's available now. And again, some of you guys already have this on hand, so I'd love to know what you think about it. Also from Severin, I want to shout out a few more releases here. We've got Strike, I guess I'll do it like this, Strike Commando and Strike Commando 2. Now these are two movies from their Italian-made exploitation movies that were shot. I think these were both shot in the Philippines, so they're Filipino exploitation movies. I have talked maybe at length here at Serial at Midnight about movies like this, even these two in particular, because these come from... I've lamented, that's the only way I can think to say it. I have lamented that those who embrace giallo and spaghetti westerns, Eurocrime, Euro horror, have not necessarily showed up for like Italian action exploitation movies. And maybe it was just a matter of time. And these two releases are a big shot to signal the arrival of the Italian exploitation action movie on the high definition formats. I'm hoping a lot of you guys support this because I have been waiting for these to come out. As far as I know, these only existed on VHS. They did not make the transition to DVD. They did not make the transition to Blu-ray until now, like, what, 15 years after the Blu-ray format began. And both of these movies were, they might still be, but they were available on Amazon Prime, and they were VHS rips. It's crazy. They were VHS rips. And so this is so exciting. So each one of these has some special features. We're talking about Bruno Mattei, the director of Bruno Mattei. A lot of these guys did, I mean, they're synonymous with Italian horror. If you love like Fulci stuff in the 80s. We got an interview with Rossella Drudi. We've got an interview with Claudio Fragasso. Here, and an interview with actor Brent Huff. It's great. I'm so excited. And this comes from a time, which is a very special time to me, when Rambo and Chuck Norris missing in action movies were everything. Like even American Ninja. Let's throw that in there too. These huge action spectacle movies. And of course, one of the hallmarks of Italian cinema is the exploiting popular genres, which is why we have peplum, spaghetti westerns, Eurocrime, the Dirty Harry kind of movies. They're exploiting different genres. And of course, they would wear them out. They would exploit them until there was no more juice left in them. But we got so much cool stuff, and I'm excited about it. So both of the Strike Commando movies now out from Severin. And let's talk about a few more. These have been out for maybe a couple of months, but they've just shown up for me recently. So we have the Severin pressing of Grizzly. We have that's directed by William Girdler. I had to refresh myself. He also directed Day of the Animals. Now, Grizzly is it's Jaws with a bear. And then you get into like more animal chaos with Day of the Animals. By the way, look at the special features included on these. I'll hold them up and you can freeze frame if you want to. I'll try to export this in the highest resolution possible. And it'll take me 36 hours to upload this because the file size is so big. I am perspiring. It is summertime in the South. I live in the South. It's hot. So if you see me dabbing, I wish I had a sweet tea over here to the side, but alas, I do not. So I'm going to have to, got to do what I got to do. We're also going to talk about Deep Blood. This is the Joe D'Amato shark exploitation movie. Jaws exploitation. You guys see what I'm talking about? We get into these exploitation territories. It's like, what's popular? Let's do that. And of course they can get ridiculous. I mean, Grizzly is ridiculous, but it's so much fun because these movies are not ridiculous on accident. They're ridiculous in a way that invites us in to enjoy them with the movie. That would be my advice to people who are just starting. If you're just venturing outside of like Marvel and DC movies and if you're 18 years old and you're just watching stuff like this for the first time, these movies are not accidentally silly. They're deliberately silly, and they want you to have fun with them. I see this, one of my sillier videos, someone just commented and they were like, I don't mean to hurt your feelings, but you're really silly. And I was like, that was the point. Congratulations on being on the same page with me. We have to be on the page of the movies. We have to put them in the context with which they were made. All right, we're doing good. 15 minutes in, we're covering a lot of ground. Let's talk about Via Vision outside of not outside, coming. I've already... Do I start over? No! We're not going to start over. Let's talk about some new releases from Viavision from Australia. Viavision is the company behind Imprint, and I am delighted at the continual kind of cross-ocean collaboration. Australia is allowing Americans to buy and review their products, and I think that's very cool. They're not region locking most of this stuff unless they absolutely have to. And that means we get a complete series box set of Merlin, or in the Australian market, it was the Adventures of Merlin. But in the UK, in the US, in Canada, it was just Merlin, right? It was a BBC series. But I know in Australia, I think in Hong Kong too, it was The Adventures of Merlin. But it's just, it's young, sexy Merlin. That's the whole idea. They did the young, sexy Robin Hood too. The BBC did. And the premise of this is like Merlin is young, Arthur is young, Uther Pendragon, Arthur's dad, is still on the throne, and it's kind of like, before they were rock stars, that sort of a thing. But it's a really good show. It's an excellent show. The thing about TV shows is I have familiarity with a lot of the stuff we're about to talk about, but I don't have a lot of like I've watched some of them, but because of the nature of television, and sometimes we're talking about commitments that last years, right? This is a 5-season show. 5 years. I've seen some, I haven't seen it all, so I'm really excited about catching up with the entire series of Merlin. And in revisiting it, just preparing for this video, just knowing I need to promote it and be able to talk about it in an educated fashion, so I'm not just like, and it says swords and sorcery and swashbuckling. I want to have a personal relationship. I want to have a personal relationship with Merlin, you guys. In reviewing it, it's so good. There's so much pathos, and it is like younger, cooler Merlin. Like, I do love the Excalibur, the John Borman Excalibur take, where everybody's like 40 or whatever, and they really get into like the adult themes and all that stuff. But there's something really refreshing about this as well. And it doesn't feel, you sometimes see these producers and they'll be like, this isn't your daddy's whatever. I don't want to name names, but I've mentioned it before. Like recently I reviewed something and the producer said, this isn't your daddy's blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, no, this doesn't feel like this. This just feels kind of fresh and fun, and there's good chemistry between the actors. So I don't know. I am a fan. I love medieval shows. I love fantasy shows. It's like Game of Thrones, but without, for much earlier, for one thing, and without the grit. Like, it's more fun. You know what? Here's a pitch, and I don't know if this may be good or bad for some of you guys, but Merlin is like Hercules, the Legendary Journeys, and Game of Thrones had a baby. That's the elevator pitch. You get the lightness and the fun of Hercules, the Legendary Journeys, but you get the themes and the medievalism of Game of Thrones. And for me, that's a sweet spot. So I don't know. I think this is really fun. It's loaded with special features. Let me show you guys if you can see. These are wedged in here so tight. I had left the first season out a little bit because this box is, it's a tight fit, but I'd rather have the tight fit than too loose. Lots and lots of stuff on here. We've got just audio commentary, Behind the Magic, The Black Knight, video diaries. They're loaded. This stuff is loaded with content. So Merlin is available from Viavision Entertainment. That is an Australian company. If you do not want to import from Australia, first of all, if you're American or if you're Canadian or if you're in the UK and you go to the Viavision website, that's Australian currency. I have to say this every single video. That's not your currency. Convert to your currency. Also, there are retailers in all of those places that will stock that stuff for you. I know in the US, Deep Discount is very reliable for Viavision. Diabolic DVD, they sell imprints. I don't know if they reach out and sell some of the other stuff like this, but I know they sell what they can get their hands on. But there are options out there, and this stuff is really cool. Viavision's presentation is off the charts, as you can see from the Young Doctors Collection 1. So Australia and the UK are two of our top demographics at Serial at Midnight. And I bet a lot of people just perked up when they saw the Young Doctors, because when I announced this, when this came out of Viavision that they were putting out the first 250 episodes of this Australian soap opera, people were like, wait, what? I'm sorry, what? Because people don't usually put out soap operas on DVD, you know? And in researching this, I saw there's like a previous collection that had, there's like 12 episodes. So 250 episodes, it's like a 1,300 and something episode series, and I have confidence that Viavision is going to put out the entire series. I started watching this. It ran from 77 to 83, I believe. These is 76. So this is 76 into 77, and immediately hooked. Immediately hooked on the soap, on the drama. I'm like, oh, this woman is cheating on her husband, and she left the kid alone at home with the babysitter, and then the kid got hurt, and she lied about being out, and like, uh-oh. And then they take the kid to the hospital where the dad works. It's so good. The drama is so good. And, like, here's an interesting pitch. So this is the 70s, right? It's a soap opera. It's like an early evening soap opera. So maybe in the U.S., maybe like a Dynasty or a Knots Landing or, you know, that sort of a thing. They really, like, it's like Scrubs has so much overlap with the Young Doctors. It's fascinating how it's just presented differently, right? It's like the interrelationships of doctors. They're young, they're into, like, who are you? Oh, I'm the new intern, the hotshot intern. We got a bleeder, you know, like, it's that sort of a thing. And it's really compelling. I'm super excited about this. I was just gonna watch, you know, one or two to educate myself again, so I know what I'm talking about when I come sit down with you guys. But I watched 4, like boom, 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 boom. It's like, ooh, now I gotta watch. It's my stories. And I should say, Viavision releases other similar Australian soap operas. I know the UK is interested because the UK got these as well, and I know so many people were like, oh, I watched that, you know, in the like I watched that when it came on. So very cool. We got a few more from Viavision here. We got Valk, the complete collection. Valk is a detective series. Is he Danish? What's the Dutch. He's Dutch. It's a Dutch detective. This was a Thames. I almost said Thames. It was a Thames series that aired in the UK. I want to make sure I got my details right here because I'm not in the UK, so sometimes these details can be a little bit sometimes I don't get them right, okay? But it's a Thames show, hit in Australia as well, because, you know, the Australian connection with British television is huge, and it's wonderful, and they would share shows. Australia would make shows that showed in England. England would make shows that showed in Australia. So this is an early 70s detective series, and it had, I think, 3 seasons of you know, mysteries. I'm going to compare it to like a Columbo or something like that. It's contemporary of Columbo. And then, like Columbo, they brought it back. Columbo arguably never went away, but you know how in the 90s they made like TV movies with Columbo? They did the same thing with Valk, where they would do lengthier, like feature-length movie-length episodes for 2 more seasons. So it's essentially 5 series, but it spans 1972 to 1992. I think that's really cool. It's like 32 hours on 11 DVDs. So if you're into that sort of thing, and I know a lot of you guys are, every time I'm like, hey guys, shout out if you like the mysteries and the Agatha Christie and the British stuff like that. So many of you guys are like, oh, I do. So hopefully we're supporting these companies too that put this stuff out there. Couple more. Love Thy Neighbor, the complete series. I would say, I gotta be careful here. I would say in the vein of like The Jeffersons or All in the Family. This is a comedy. You can choose your friends, but whether you live in a back-to-back, but when you live back to, hold on, I'm gonna start over. What if I started the video over? I'm like, hold on, I have to start over. You can choose your friends, but whether you live in a back-to-back, a suburban semi, or a mansion, you can rarely choose your neighbors. Enter Love Thy Neighbor. So, you know, racial tension, suburban comedy. It's interesting because we've become so tame, you know, so conservative in our modern presentation that I think there's I don't know how I want to say it. It's important that shows like this are preserved. That's what I want to say. It's important that people are seeing these shows, that companies like Viavision are like, you know, in 2021, as I record this video, they're like, we're going to make sure that this is on disc and preserved. It's more important than ever. And I've talked to some people behind the scenes at other companies who, off the record, told me the same thing. They said, our job is to preserve these things. So when someone says something like that, again, like, we should support that. That's as people who love the arts, because we love movies. Movies are the arts. TV shows, that's the arts. We love these things. We want to see them last. We want to see them not completely taken off the radar, but watched and learned from and seen. So, by the way, I'm not mentioning special features here. The Valk has an interview with the editor, and this has the theatrical film, the 1973 theatrical film. I'm going to hold that up for you guys. And again, you can freeze frame it if you want to, but the unscreened pilot episode, rarely seen 1972 Christmas sketch from All-Star Comedy Carnival, and the 1973 New Year's special. So it's all of Love Thy Neighbor in a box. You don't love your neighbor in a box. It's all of the series in a box. I just want to clarify that. Last from Viavision that we're going to talk about here is Lucky Man. Stan Lee's Lucky Man. Excelsior! Stan Lee's Lucky Man. This is a very cool series with the premise. It's not a superhero movie, but let me move my stack a little bit. Is it too cluttered back there? No, it's okay. You can see a little bit of a He-Man box. I'm just going to shout it out instead of... Is that what that is? I don't know. It's not a superhero story, but it is about powers. You know? Savvy. And it stars... what is his name? It's not... James Nesbitt. He's in The Hobbit. He's also, like, I think I first came to see him and know him... Murphy's Law. He's in Jekyll. I think it was a BBC version of Jekyll, which was fantastic. He gets a bracelet. He's a gambler. He's in debt. It's not looking good. He's also a police inspector. So, police inspector with a gambling habit. Like, lots of drama there. Some mysterious woman gives him a bracelet, a metal bracelet that it goes on his wrist. He cannot take it off, and it gives him the power of luck. And with luck, as the character learns, if you change luck in your favor, there's a consequence somewhere else. So somewhere else, someone is having bad luck. So here's in the pilot. This is not a spoiler, really. It's in the pilot. But he dodges a car accident, and as a consequence, his daughter is hit by a car. Whether she's okay or not, I'll leave it up to you to discover. But that's what we're talking about here. It's very interesting that with good luck comes consequences. Because we've seen the luck thing done before, but it's a nice twist. That's a nice wrinkle, and it's set in the UK. The detective, it's a murder mystery. Very, very cool stuff. So it's got a lot of special features here. It does have a Stan Lee cameo in the first episode. So like all those Marvel movies, there's a Stan Lee cameo. I really like it. And the theme song by Corinne Bailey Rae, I like her a lot, and it's a good song too. I'm going to switch to music really quick. I've got a few things back here that I've hidden. They weren't in the thumbnail. You haven't seen them. I want to talk about some music really quick. This is out from Cherry Red Records. This is Waylon Jennings. 4 classic albums, 2 CDs. These 4 albums, the story of Waylon and outlaw country are intertwined. Waylon, Willie Nelson, Tom Paul Glaser as well, worked for the Nashville scene in the 60s, weren't particularly appreciated by the Nashville scene, so started to go further and further outside the box. These albums span the period in the early 70s when Waylon Jennings was venturing out of that Nashville bubble. The first album here, Singer of Sad Songs, was recorded in Hollywood with Lee Hazelwood, the Nancy Sinatra collaborator. Produced a bunch of Nancy Sinatra albums. He's on some of them, some Velvet Morning. Some of you guys know. If you know, you know. And this is the story of a man becoming an outlaw. These 4 albums are the saga of Waylon Jennings embracing what we would soon know as outlaw country. He's giving birth to it in a lot of ways. and it's great. I love this stuff. There's like a lot of Christopherson. There's some Willie Nelson songs on here. Like he's singing other people's songs as well. Lee Hazelwood. Hazelwood is on a song in the first album. So the albums themselves, Singer of Sad Songs, The Taker / Tulsa, Good Hearted Woman, and Ladies Love Outlaws. I mean, these are staples of the Waylon. He would do a lot of collaborations with Willy, and they would sing these songs. These are big songs from the catalog there. It's 2 discs. I told you, you get 2 albums per CD, and there's a nice booklet in here about the importance of these albums and their place in the Waylon and the outlaw country canon. So that's from Cherry Red Records. You can pick it up anywhere that music is sold. You can get it from Cherry Red, or if you want to order it from, I think it's on Amazon. It's a deep discount. It's out there, and I recommend it. I actually wrote a review of it I wrote it up for serialatmidnight.com. We have a website, in case you don't know. A lot of reviews there. Oh, by the way, while I'm thinking about it, we also have a Letterboxd. People ask forever. They're like, why don't you have a Letterboxd? I'm like, well, my channel. Like, I don't want to give 2-line reviews when I can do this and cover so much more ground. But we do. Serial at Midnight has a Letterboxd. It's Serial Midnight. Serial at Midnight. MIDNITE. So like Nick at Night, Serial at Midnight. Because there was not enough room for proper spelling. I was 1 character short. So you can find it over there. I've put up a lot of stuff. I hope you dig it. If you do, let me know. Let's talk about this really quick. From Epic Pictures, or Dread presents Queen of Spades. This is one of those look in the mirror at the monster, and it's in the vein of Bloody Mary, right? Or Candyman. We could do Candyman too. Like, you look in the mirror. You light the candle, you got the lipstick, and you can summon the Queen of Spades. And this is based on like Russian folklore. I knew nothing about the Queen of Spades, but this is available digitally now. It may be available on disc when this goes up. I'm thinking it's early July, but I just want you guys to know that this is out there. Queen of Spades. Who's watched this, and what did you think about it? Dread presents, also the people behind Benny Loves You. I got Benny right over here. Does Benny want to make an appearance? Benny, hey, what do you think about Queen of Spades? Oh wow. Okay, well Benny approves of Queen of Spades. So check that out. That's from Epic Presents. I'm going to talk very quickly about the Groove Tube. This is like old school. I think it's 1974. This is a very, very adult. It's not an adult movie, but it's got a lot of nudity in it. Men as well. But it's hilarious. It's Chevy Chase before Saturday Night Live in 1975, and Richard Belzer is here. It's the kind of the brainchild of Ken Shapiro, who directed it. And it is, just hold up the back of the box for you guys. This is going to be one of those movies that some of you saw in the video store. Probably not Blockbuster, probably like Joe's Video Store in Sheboygan. And it probably made an impression on you. This is going to be for the old timers who come from the early days of the video store. Well, guess what, guys? It's on Blu-ray now. It just came out from Hen's Tooth Video. No special features, but it's been restored. Oh, it's a 4K restoration. I'm just saying that I watched this movie, but it looks really good. It is so fun and bizarre, and if you're into really weird stuff, I recommend you check it out. But if you don't like going outside the beaten path, it's out there. And it's not politically correct at all, even by 1973-74 standards. It's trying very hard to be offensive. Let's talk about a couple of things from Film Movement. Which one of these do I want to start with? Rose Plays Julie is an interesting film. Speaking of outside the box, this is a really interesting film about revenge. See, I have to be careful when I cover certain things like this because there are certain words that YouTube asks me. None of my videos are made for kids, but then they're like, well, do you talk about this? let's do it this way. A victim of assault. A victim of assault. I think we all understand what I'm talking about here. The consequences that can sometimes occur as a victim of assault. And this is a movie that's dealing with the aftermath of that assault and someone wanting to get revenge. And it goes to really interesting places that I don't know I've seen other movies go before. Maybe I want to reference like The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, that sort of a thing. But it's very cerebral, but it's also very dark. And the thing that Film Movement does that's very cool is they present these things, it's like artistically presented, which I actually appreciate, because there's a place for big Christopher Lee box sets. There's also a place, you know, for like cinematic attention to put a spotlight on, you know. Here, this is what I'm talking about. Why we selected Rose Plays Julie, and then the people behind the movie, the directors, talking about where the movie came from. I think that's really interesting. So they picked it because it's approaching interesting topics in a unique way, and the directors talk about how they would walk. They're in London. They would walk to the Thames and then back home, and it was or back to their area, and it was like a 90-minute round trip walk, and that's where they broke the story. It's just like, and then all like stuff's happening in society too. It's like around the Me Too movement, so they're like, well, how does this impact our story and like the idea of revenge? It's interesting, you guys. It's really cool, and I wanted to shout this out to you guys because it's not going to be for everybody, I know, but it's going to be for some of you guys. And I also want to talk about this. This is a documentary series about Dali, about Salvador Dali, In Search of Immortality. We love Salvador Dali in our house. I've been to his house and museum in Figueres, Spain. Big Dali family, if that's possible. And so this is a 3-episode documentary series. It's about 3 hours, about 1 hour each part, chronicling his birth all the way up through his death and then the legacy beyond. And it is so good. I watched it. You know, he was a surrealist painter, really one of those leaders of surrealism, but he started in Impressionism. And I understand this is going, some of you guys are like, what? But it's really interesting because I'm watching this documentary. I'm laying there on the couch while it's on. You know, I'm watching it with Bree. And it's almost like having an out-of-body experience. There's so many paintings, and it's like, you know, his style of like clocks draped over things and like really playing with reality. There was a legitimate moment watching this that I felt like I kind of left myself, and my senses took on a whole other thing. So this is also from Film Movement, and I think that it's, for those of you who are interested in this, it lives up to the expectations, right? So I'm going to take a quick intermission, go blow dry my hair, towel off, hydrate myself. I'm going to take a quick intermission. I'll be right back in just a second. And we're back. It's been 5 days. No, I'm just kidding. Let's talk about some Kino Lorber Studio Classics. I've got a stack of Kino here. These are July releases, all but one. These are July releases that I'm able to talk to you about a little bit early. Oh my goodness, the June Swoon sale. Kino is having a sale right now. Let's talk about it. The June Swoon sale is running on Kino Lorber's website until July 14th, I believe. I'm not sure what time of the day it ends, but people have asked me for recommendations. That's so hard because Kino Lorber casts a wide net of releases. I would say lean into the westerns and lean into the noirs because those are some of my favorites. I mean, look, we've got like 200 Kino titles behind me. You could place an order and I could place an order, and Jimmy in PA could place an order, and I don't know, Frank in California, and we would have no overlap. It's so interesting because there's so much diversity in that label. Western Classics Volume 2 is in the sale, and the Carole Lombard Collection Volume 2 is in the sale. I would also say that the Jetsons, that's in there. See, I can't do this. Go to youtube.com/serial@midnight and click on the playlist tab, and scroll to the Kino Lorber playlist, because we have covered well over 100 Kino Lorber titles in the kind of detail here. I've held them up, I've talked about them, I've told you what appeals to me about them. If they're in that playlist, that means I chose them, I was interested in them, and those would be my personal recommendations. So that's the best way I can do it. But let's talk about these really quick. Everything is a July release except for Cool as Ice. This just arrived for me, but this has been out for a while now, a month or so maybe. And it's Vanilla Ice. It's the Vanilla, I think it's his acting debut, the Vanilla Ice acting debut. How do they bill him? Did they bill him as Vanilla Ice or as, was it Rob Van Winkle is his name? Yeah, Vanilla Ice. Candy Clark. God bless Candy Clark. I am told, I saw Austin Tronick, Patreon supporter Austin Tronick, the author of the Canon Film Guide, Volume 1 and 2 is in development. Volume 1 is out, Volume 2 is in development. We interviewed him right here. He says that the commentary on Cool as Ice is one of the best of the year so far. So, who am I to argue? But the rest of these are going to be new. They're going to be new hotness that we've never talked about, that hopefully you're seeing for the first time. Stranger on the Run. It's funny, I start this, we've talked about this movie before because this came out on DVD in another region from another company recently, and I reviewed it there, and I love this movie. It's a Don Siegel movie. It's got Henry Ford. No, it's got Henry Fonda. I always do this. When I talked about this movie the first time, I called him Henry Ford, and this dude just shredded me. He just ripped me apart. Because, of course, people don't make mistakes. If you're on YouTube, you don't make mistakes. It's Henry Fonda of the legendary Fondas. And he gets this, he's a drifter. Oh, Michael Parks he's pretty much the bad guy, and he's a great bad guy. How many people know Michael Parks goes back to the 60s? Because if you only know his later work, like that Kevin Smith resurgence to, man, so good. Big Bucket of Wind, man. It's also got Ann Baxter in it from the Ten Commandments, right? And Zalman King, who is, you guys have seen the movie The Trip with the Teacher? Zalman King is one of the biker people that terrorizes the school bus teacher and the kids and stuff. He's great, and he's great in this too. It's a fantastic Western. I can't believe this was a TV movie in 1967, and I just can't believe that. The quality of this 1967 TV movie. I mean, Don Siegel doing, it's very good. This has a commentary by, well, I'll just hold this up for you guys. I also love that Kino Lorber has given it the O slip, or the O sleeve, however you want to reference it. So they must think very highly of it, as do I. I'm a big fan of Westerns, and it's cast so well. Let's talk about the web. This has Edmund O'Brien, who's no stranger to noir fans, and Vincent Price. Vincent Price this is a 40s movie. It's a 1947 movie. Vincent Price did great work before, we all love, House on Haunted Hill. I mean, I hope we do. We all love the House on Haunted Hill and all those great horror movies that would come later. But he was a great actor before that, and a genuinely good actor that was restrained. I mean, he went to places later, but it's so great to see him pop on. I mean, look at him. It's just so, it's powerful screen presence. So here's the back of the box and the special features. Now, some of these I've had a chance to watch, and some of them I haven't had a chance to watch yet. We'll cover some of these again. We'll circle back around in a review palooza. And I know it's been a while since the last review palooza, but there's so much to talk about. And things are coming in so fast. I mean, telling you, it's summertime. It's just like, this is such a great season for movies and for celebrating cinema and stuff like that. So I've probably got movies for at least 2 review paloozas just waiting to be covered. The Road to Salina. This is it's a French movie, and it's got Mimsy Farmer, Robert Walker, Rita Hayworth. It's a 1970, it's a 1970 movie about a drifter who comes into this town, and Rita Hayworth is like, she thinks he's her son, or he reminds her of her son, and it's this whole thing that kind of develops out of that. Very interesting. They have both the English language and the French audio language here. So audio commentary. And a Trailers from Hell with Larry Karaszewski. I love Trailers from Hell. It's Joe Dante's baby, where they would get, he would still do, they get people within the industry to talk about movies that they like, they talk about the trailer. They say, "Hi, I'm Larry Karaszewski, and I want to talk about The Road to Salina." And then they show the trailer, and he's like, "You can see in the movie," and they talk for 2 or 3 minutes, the length of the trailer, and then you're done. And I love those, and I really applaud Kino Lorber for getting those, for reaching out and seeing, including the ones that they can. Alias, Jesse James. This is a 50s, 1959? Yeah, Bob Hope comedy with Rhonda Fleming. Revolt of the Slaves, I think is the name of the movie with Rhonda Fleming, where she's just one of those peplum films. I really like Rhonda Fleming. This is... Kino's really been crushing it with Bob Hope. They've put out so many of the Road 2 movies. Kino, hey, the Ghost Breakers, the Cat and the Canary. Now we have Alias Jesse James to add to our Bob Hope collection. I'm tempted to do my Bob Hope collection. Yeah. I don't know, guys. What do you think about that? Yeah, it's okay. It's all right. Yeah, well, I keep on trying, okay? It's worth a shot, right? When you're with your friends, it doesn't have to be the best. It's about the spirit of fun, right? You don't do an impersonation for your friend and they go, "You know what? That really needs work." They just look at you with intensity and they're like, "No." Then you're not friends with them anymore, right? George Bancroft in Thunderbolt. This is a 1929 movie that I love these pre-code movies. I try to talk about this when I can, but when we get access to a sound picture when you get access to a sound picture, sometimes I call them pictures. It's fun to call movies pictures. And if you're talking about something from 1929, you kind of have to. But pre-code, pre-Hays Code, the code being, like, you can't do that in a movie. It has no artistic or redeeming value. It's the decency police. These movies got away with a lot. So when we get restorations of these from, on disc, they're majestic. So this is a Joseph von Sternberg movie. We'll cover this in a future review palooza, but it's got a commentary by Nick Pinkerton on it. And I'm so excited. Hey, you know who else is in this? Fay Wray. Pre King Kong Fay Wray. Yeah, it's exciting. Larceny. Look at the cast on this. We got John Payne, who some of you guys will know from Miracle on 34th Street, but he was in a lot of noirs too. 99 River Street, which is somewhere back here. Joan Caulfield, Dan Duryea. I don't think I'm pronouncing Dan Duryea's name correctly. Dan Duryea? Dan Duryea? I think it's Dan Duryea. Dan Duryea. I don't know. C. Courtney Joyner. If you guys seen my interview with C. Courtney Joyner that I posted it in 2 parts because we talked for an hour and a half. But he pronounces his name differently than I do. And Shelley Winters is in this as well. And this is a 1948 crime noir movie. Yeah, they reference 99 River Street right here at the top. We've got a commentary by Eddie Von Mueller. Yeah, we'll hit this in a future review palooza so we can keep moving here. How about some Cecil B. DeMille, you guys? This is Cecil B. DeMille directing Gary Cooper, Paulette Goddard, Boris Karloff, Howard Da Silva. This is Unconquered. This is exactly what it looks like. This is one of those big... Did Cecil B. DeMille ever just do we'll just do like a quiet little comedy? Like, he was like the big spectacle guy. I want to say... And I have said, Cecil B. DeMille is the most successful exploitation filmmaker of all time. Because you watch something like The Ten Commandments, it's exploitation. They're taking things, so and then you can be like, it's the Bible. That's okay, it's the Bible. But he was very successful at what he did. This is a one of those big historical early frontier stories with it's color. It's 1947, and yet it's in color. It's 2 hours and 26 minutes. Big DeMille, and we'll talk about this again soon. So, what do you guys think about those big Cecil B. DeMille movies? I would love to get feedback on these because I know you guys. We got a lot of cinema fans here who they know the ins and outs. Do you like the feedback on DeMille? I want some feedback. Alias Nick Beal. Alias Nick Beal. It's my southern accent coming through. Ray Milland, Audrey Totter. I'm also trying to talk quick because I know how long we've been going. It's in 1945. I'm gonna classify this as a noir. but we can talk about it. I don't want to debate it, but we can talk about it. Again, we'll cover more of these later. But this has a comment. Okay, it's noir. You know how I know? Because it's got a commentary by Eddie Muller, Mr. Film Noir himself, Eddie Muller, doing the audio commentary here. So there's the back of the package. I think that this is even part of one of the noir collections. That is this. Who put this out? This is Universal. Isn't this on one of the noir? I feel like I've had this movie in another format, the DVD era. James Stewart in Shenandoah. Do I go for the James Stewart after the failure of the previous impression, the failure of Bob Hope? Well, I want to go for Shenandoah. You know, it's all right. There's a movie with James Stewart in it. It's all right. I'm happy with that. It's not perfect, but I'm happy with that. Andrew McLaglen, who was directed a lot of John Wayne movies, British-born director, did a lot of John Wayne movies. Directed this movie. It's 1965. It's I guess it's a Western, but it takes place in Virginia. And hey, speaking of Virginia, it's got Doug McClure, and it's got Patrick Wayne in it. Speaking of John Wayne, so Patrick Wayne, John Wayne's son. Really interesting movie that is it's a it almost is like a, who's the guy that writes those big books, like, is it James A. Missioner? It's this huge saga of this family who wants to stay out of the Civil War, and then like people get involved in the Civil War, and then becomes a revenge story, like a quest from Jimmy Stewart. I have been critical of certain movies that Jimmy Stewart has been in because I do not feel like they utilize him correctly. I think this movie utilizes him perfectly. Jimmy Stewart has a darkness about him. There's an anger about him. And when movies ignore that, I'm talking about It's a Wonderful Life. When movies ignore his darkness and act like he's just good old Jimmy, like, I feel like that does not do him favors for his role. Here we go again. We did a video about it. I'll reference that video in the description of this if I remember. But here's the appeal of this for you guys if you're on the fence about Shenandoah. Commentary track by C. Courtney Joyner and Constantine Nasser. And if you saw our interview with C. Courtney Joyner, he talked about this, right? He told us this was coming. He was promoting this as he was doing our interview. I now have it on hand. I've listened to the commentary track, and it's tremendous. When I concluded the commentary track, I just wanted to go watch McLaglen movies. I was like, all right, I got to pull this one, I got to pull Chisholm, and it's just like, it was so inspiring. And these guys know so much, and like C. Courtney Joyner knew the director and had been told multiple stories repeatedly over the years. So it's a great commentary track. You know what else is great? Clay Pigeons. Do I want to go this hard on this? I love Clay Pigeons. I love it. I am of the 90s. The 90s is the era that I grew up in the 80s, saw some in the 70s, but the 90s are the era that I really came into my own as a cinema fan as I'm discovering the works of Quentin Tarantino. The works. He'd made like one or two movies. When Quentin Tarantino was new, when we're talking, he was like, 4 Rooms. The script for True Romance. When these movies were new, there was a style, and it felt fresh, and it felt new, and it was exciting, and there was like crime, but quirky criminals and fallible characters, and that is when I came into my cinema fandom. And so I will always have a soft spot for movies like that. And Clay Pigeons fits so nicely in that milieu. And look, Joaquin Phoenix, Vince Vaughn, Janine Garofalo. This is directed by the man who would one day go on to do Wedding Crashers, also with Vince Vaughn. But this is a crime movie, and it's a 90s crime movie, and it is so much fun to me. It is dark as all get out, but it's funny in a way that I feel like movies don't really get they don't have the opportunity to do anymore, because we as the audience have changed, and we'd be like, no, you can't do that. We're so gritty. We take ourselves so seriously. There's a murder scene in this set to Elvis's It's Now or Never. That's what I'm talking about. It's so good. And there's a commentary. It's a audio commentary by director David Dobkin. I gather it's new. because he's talking about this movie. He's like, it's so great to talk about this movie. I never had a chance when it was new. So I gather that he's had a chance to come back in and do a new audio commentary. And just from a screenwriting perspective, from a cinema appreciation perspective, there's a lot of good stuff here about small budget film. I say small budget. It was an $8 million movie, which in 1998, that was decent. That was mid budget for 98. But now, you know, that's a tortilla chip commercial budget. But I mean, clay. Who else, guys? The cult of clay pigeons. Where are you guys at? It's amazing, right? Also, this one's still sealed because it just came in. It's still got the plastic wrap on it, but it's Claudette Colbert and Fred McMurray in The Gilded Lily. Now, Claudette and Fred would be in a lot of movies together. 6, I think it's on here somewhere, that they would make 6 more films together. Fred McMurray, Quantes, you guys, that's my Fred McMurray, not the absent-minded professor, not My Three Sons or whatever. Quantes, that's my Fred McMurray recommendation. They made 6 more movies together, but this is where it starts. It's got an audio commentary by Kat Ellinger. Clearly, I haven't watched it yet because it's still sealed, but we'll cover it again. Oh, by the way, Ray Milland. Just got Ray Milland in it too. Just casually toss that out. You can tell what I've watched and what I have yet to watch, right? Because I'm like, oh, clay pigeons. It's like the bee's knees, I say. And then I'm like, and this one's, you can tell what I've had the time to spend with. And also just my own personal preferences for movies. Let's talk about, let's transition into Mill Creek Entertainment, and then we'll end it there. But huge release schedule for Mill Creek Entertainment. We've got a double feature, Toy Soldiers and December, which I've never seen. I'm going to be honest with you guys, I've never even heard of December. But it's got Will Wheaton in it. It's got Chris Young, Balthazar Getty, Brian Krause, Jason London. What year is this? 93, I want to say. It doesn't really matter for the sake of this video. 91. Okay. But Toy Soldiers is that Sean Astin movie where the kids... that's Will Wheaton too. This is the Will Wheaton double feature, I guess. But Toy Soldiers, Sean Astin, Will Wheaton, Keith Coogan, Andrew Devoff, Denholm Elliott, and Louis Gossett Jr., where they get to like the guy like, we got to stop this thing from happening. Very, very cool. So that is out. We also have a double feature with Contraband and Fear. Again, I'm familiar with Fear, but I'm not familiar with Contraband. What do you guys think about that? It's got Kate Beckinsale in it with Mark Wahlberg. I'm Mark Wahlberg. This Transformers are really getting on my nerves. Oh, you guys, I got a burger joint. My whole family, we're in the burger business. Wahlburgers. Location in Las Vegas too. I don't know. Anyway, so the 2 movies there, and that's one double feature. Alpha Dog. I've seen this movie a total of 1 time, and it upset me. It made me very sad. This is Justin Timberlake, Ben Foster, Justin Timberlake, Emil Hirsch, Sharon Stone is in this, Anton Yelchin, rest in peace, and Bruce Willis. What do you guys think about Alpha Dog, now on Blu-ray from Mill Creek Entertainment? This is a cool double feature. I guess this is our Jamie Foxx double feature. We've got Miami Vice, directed by the creator of Miami Vice, Michael Mann, who you guys know. I know you know. But the man behind Miami Vice is also the guy behind Heat, that excellent movie with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. Like, I will put you down. I will not hesitate. And then the other feature here is The Kingdom, which is a great, like, modern war movie. So, you know, but it's more cerebral too. Like, it's got a lot of, it's Peter Berg, right? Hold on, it's so tiny print. Peter Berg, yeah. There's a lot to think about. Peter Berg, underrated director. He's a good performer too, a good actor too. But this movie, it stays with you. Jennifer Garner's in it, Chris Cooper, Jamie Foxx, and Miami Vice co-stars Colin Farrell as well. It's just interesting to me that the guy who created Miami Vice in the 80s goes on to this great movie career, Last of the Mohicans, and then he makes a Miami Vice movie. And I guess it's like, well, this is what it could have been like if I'd had, 2006 money or whatever. What year is this? Again, why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself into this? I can't. The print, 2007. No. 2006. I was right. How about some Sonic the Hedgehog? Sonic Boom, complete first season. I've heard a lot of praise from you guys. When this was announced, I shared the news, and I got a lot of good feedback from you guys saying, like, Sonic Boom was a cut above. It was like, it had some good meta humor, it had some self-aware humor, but it wasn't so ironic that it wasn't fun. I'm a big fan of Sonic. If you saw my review for the Sonic the Hedgehog movie from theaters, I really like Sonic. It's a game franchise I continue to go back to. I was on an airplane recently, and I was playing Sonic on the airplane, because that's what you do. So this is the complete series on 3 Blu-rays. Here's disc 1, discs 2 and 3 are stacked on top of each other. Should be fine for a Blu-ray, but I just want you to know. Are there special features on this? There have been no special features on anything we've looked at so far. And that continues with Safe House. This is the Denzel Washington, Ryan Reynolds movie. Never seen it. What do you guys think about Safe House? I mean, it looks great. But it's just one of the, like, we all have gaps, right? Modern movies tend to be gaps for me. Once we get past 2010, it's hard for me to keep up with stuff, because that's when I really started to go retro. So 2010, I'm looking at Universal movies, and I'm looking at the, noir and Vincent Price and stuff like that. But what do you guys think about Safe House? I would love some opinions. Finding Forrester, the movie that gave us You're the Man Now, Dog. If that worked for you, thank you. If it didn't, what are you going to do? Sean Connery, excellent performance. Mike, this is, hold on. What's this cat's name? Sean Connery, F. Murray Abraham, Anna Paquin, and Rob Brown. It's directed by Gus Van Sant. Busta Rhymes is in here too. Is he not? I think Busta Rhymes is in here. Anyway, really cool movie about... Well, I mean, I say it's a really cool movie. It's Sean Connery kind of working outside of his wheelhouse as a mentor, educator kind of a guy, and it's got cool... I don't even know how I want to say what I'm trying to say. It's got good heart to it. And Anna Paquin she's the romantic interest, and it's a sweet movie. I've always liked this movie, and I'm so glad that we have the opportunity to have it on Blu-ray now. No special features, but for the price. And that we should mention, like, Mill Creek Entertainment releases like these are usually readily available for under $10. And that's, the price is right. So would you pay more for a commentary? That's the question. Because not everybody would. People complain already. Everybody complains about everything. Here's the double feature: The Adjustment Bureau and The Good Shepherd. This is our Matt Damon special. What do you guys think about the curation at Mill Creek, where they're doing these specific double features with the actors, or like a carrying over theme? Who is in Emily Blunt, and then Good Shepherd has Angelina Jolie and Robert De Niro in it. So great cast. And Ultraman. Let's talk about some Ultraman. So this is the Ultra Galaxy Mega Monster Battle collection. It's a mouthful. Ultraman Ultra Galaxy Mega Monster Battle. Now, it can be daunting to come to some of this stuff if you aren't super familiar with what it is. So let me tell you. Ultra Galaxy Mega Monster Battle is a 2008, 2009, I believe. It's a season 1 and a season 2. Season 1 was called Mega Monster Battle. Season 2 was called Mega Monster Battle, Never Ending Odyssey. And it's not an Ultraman series, but it takes place with the monsters of Ultraman, and there are Ultraman, like, it's tangentially related to Ultraman, so there is some Ultraman stuff in it, but it's like Ultraman does not show up in every episode. It's mostly about this science team. They're like, I think they're actually like cargo people. They're like, they get a distress signal from this from their shipping hub, their warehouse planet, and they go down there and everybody's gone. It's been demolished by the mega monsters. And so they find this character there who is the hero. He's got the thing that calls the monsters and controls the monsters. So it's that way into the Ultraman universe without there being the mythology, the legacy of Ultraman. And it's fun. It feels geared, to me, it feels geared to a younger audience, like a 12 and under audience, but I don't know. I haven't finished the series, and things I have noticed with Ultraman, they'll start out kind of light and simple, and then halfway into it, you're like, oh no, why did they hurt that person? And that person's in a coma. They really get you with the, it's like, hey, we're having fun, right? They're dead. And so it may evolve into something more than that. But I will also say this includes the movie. Got to look at it so make sure I get it right. Mega Monster Battle Ultra Galaxy, the movie. And that has, I should show you. These slipcases have the text that you need. And then the Blu-ray case is just clean art. The movie it's an Ultraman Zero film. Ultraman Zero, who is the son of Ultraman Leo. No, son of Ultra 7. Jeez. So it's hard to keep all this straight sometimes. And in America, we've had a crash course over like 2 years where it's just like everything all at one time, it seems like, which is great. Mill Creek's done a great job releasing these. But the movie really brings in Ultraman Zero. It brings in Beal, which is like the big bad. And that's got a ton of Ultraman mythology in it. So if you're an Ultraman fan, this is essential. And if you'll notice, once they finished the Ultraman Leo, we got all Ultraman, Ultra Q, Ultraman. I'm not going to do all of them, but they kind of put a button on the classic Showa era series. We're still waiting on Ultraman 1980, which some people consider to be part of that, but I don't think Mill Creek does. And then they've given us a lot of the modern stuff. Now they're filling in the middle portion, that like the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. That's interesting to me. That's what's going to be next. And will you show up for that? Will the Ultraman fans show up for some of those less heralded series? I say we do, because it's good stuff. Speaking of Ultraman Zero, this is the Ultraman Zero collection, but I didn't get the slipcase, and the O sleeve, as we've called them, and it's being sent to me, but I don't have it to show you. So as I was mentioning, all the text is always on the outside, and then these are just clean. So this is the Ultraman Zero collection. This is the art from underneath, but lots of Ultraman history here. You see all the Ultra characters in the background there, and then booyah. And this includes, I'm going to crack this open here. So this is Ultraman Zero versus Darklops Zero, Stage 1 and Stage 2. Ultraman Zero, the Killer Beatstar, Stage 1 and Stage 2. These Japanese translations can be challenging. Ultraman Zero, this is the movie. It's 2 movies and specials. I'll just show you. There's the ones I was just telling you guys about. And then the movie, Ultraman Zero, The Revenge of Belial, which, we've covered the previous confrontation here. And then Ultraman Saga is this last Blu-ray. So a lot of good stuff. Again, the price is right for this. You're going to like $20 for these Blu-rays, so support them. I don't know anything for sure, but I have heard, just from kind of keeping my ear close to the ground with Keith Aiken and some of the stuff happening at Sci-Fi Japan, that DVDs are being considered for some of this stuff if there are no HD masters. If you like Blu-ray and you're not buying these on Blu-ray, you're sending a message, whether you intend to or not. So if we want to see these series continue on Blu-ray, we got to support them. Let's talk about the Critic. I love this series. I love the Critic. Watched it when it was, I look back on this now, 93, 94, 95. It's John Lovitz as the Critic. It stinks. I'm John Lovitz. It's my John Lovitz impression. It's all in the delivery. Jealous. He is this movie critic, and because he's I'm like, oh, I've been this way for forever. When I was 15 years old watching this on television, this appealed to me because they'd take pot shots at movies. They'd have a lot of fun with movies and stuff. It is so funny. It's so funny, and it's allowed to be dark in a way that now Rick and Morty can be dark, right? But you don't often get main big 3 TV channels going dark. There's a scene in one of the first episodes when they go to this movie, and you know how the movie, like the pre-show of the movie, it'll be like like, you're visiting so-and-so theaters or whatever. It's like it's this canister of film, and this little piece of film pops out, and he's got like he's like tack 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 as they dance, and he's got a cane, and then the camera starts up behind him, and he gets sucked into the camera. He's just like, and he gets sucked in, and then a little kid piece of film comes out of the canister, and he's like, Daddy, Daddy, and he goes, and now our feature presentation. And I laughed so hard because it's so dark, but it's silly too because it's a piece of film. But man, it's really funny. The show is hilarious. Cool celebrity cameos too. They start out impersonating celebrities, and then they just get celebrities. Let's blow it out of here with a few DVD big collections, right? We got Problem Child 1 and Problem Child 2. Rest in peace, John Ritter. I think about you a lot. This Bruce Willis 8-movie collection. We got Sunset, which I've never seen before. I was like, what is Sunset? We got Hudson Hawk, The Whole Nine Yards, Mortal Thoughts, Alpha Dog. Yeah, so some carryover. The Jackal, Mercury Rising. Hey, the Jackal has an early Jack Black role too. Before he was School of Rock and even Cable Guy. I think that's around the same time. Maybe it's okay. Now I gotta check. The Jackal is 1997, so it's after Cable Guy because Jack Black's in Cable Guy too. Okay, Mercury Rising and Perfect Stranger. So this is our Bruce Willis collection. I'll show you how they're broken down. 3 movies on a disc. These are stacked. 2 movies on a disc. 3 movies on a disc. Also, you know what? I'm going to save that. I'm going to move over to this. The 8-movie collection, Jean-Claude Van Damme. The Quest, Street Fighter, The Hardcore, Maximum Risk, Knockoff, Second in Command, Universal Soldier, The Return, and Double Team. All this Van Damage. Should call this the Van Damage collection. 2 movies stacked on top of 3 movies. Stacked on top of 3 movies. Becoming Evil, the serial killer. This is a series of serial killer DVDs that they've got. I think this is the 3rd, possibly the 4th. I've got them all. We've talked about them here, but they talk about it's killers. It's like how killers become killers, right? And this is the Old West collection, which is very cool. The Coldest Killers in Outlaw History. Of course, that's Billy the Kid right there. It doesn't look that much like Emilio Estevez. Emilio! It's my Night at the Roxbury reference. This is 1 hour and 49 minutes. They're going to talk about Billy the Kid, Jesse James, John Wesley Hardin, and the Kentucky Cannibal. I don't know about the Kentucky Cannibal. I'll have to learn. And then last but not least, Pasture, which I have not had a chance to catch up with yet. But Fear is a Prison of the Mind. So you guys that like these direct to DVD or these modern era horror movies or thriller movies, they call it Lynchian. And this Lynchian nightmare, a young woman seeking treatment for her schizophrenia is taken captive by a deranged doctor and subjected to illegal experimentation. She loses her grip on reality. So just want to shout that out. There it is. So you can see what it is. And DVD, I don't think, there's no Blu-ray for this. But those of you who really enjoy movies like this, check it out. So that, wow, what a long, strange trip it's been. Biggest fresh flavors. I think it's the biggest new release video just in general. Maybe one of the bigger videos in Serial at Midnight history of any kind of video. This has been long. If you made it this far, I appreciate you so very much. Well, I appreciate everybody anyway so very much. But if you made it to the end, you are a champ. You are you're an all-star. So thank you. Let me know which ones you're excited the most about, which ones you want to see prioritized for a Review Palooza full spotlight that we can get really in depth on. And don't forget the Kino Lorber sale that's happening right now. And man, what an exciting time to be a fan of cinema history. I don't want to say collecting. I want to say of cinema history, because you can collect something and know nothing about it. You can buy these things and never watch them, but to be a cinephile and to have access to so much of this stuff, to be able to watch it in quality like we've never seen, the restorations. What an exciting time. So I'm really hopeful and optimistic about the future. We have never had access to so much in such high quality. So we have a lot to be thankful for, and we vote with our wallets. By supporting these things, we are sending the message to these studios, these distributors that are taking a risk to put them out to see if we want to buy it. We vote with our wallets. So I'll leave it there. That's what we need to think about. So guys, thank you so much. Take care. Until next time, I will catch you later.